It's the early 2000s, and you're kicking back watching classic Cartoon Network. Your favorite show at the time, Ben 10, is airing. How exciting, right?
All the bad guys are here? I wonder who he's gonna turn into for this. Oh, maybe Ben Wolf will finally come back. Or maybe he's gonna, stick to what he knows and give him 4 arms of action. Huh? When did he get that eye guy? I don't remember that episode.
Insect on ice. Now that's cold.
Whoa, cool!
At this point in time, Ben 10 had been running for 4 seasons. The episode that I showed you just now was its penultimate one. What I was trying to use the earlier skit to demonstrate was how easily Ben 10 was able to get away with not explaining itself. Yet, explaining itself nonetheless. Exposition, as I understand it, is the provision of key or crucial information within a narrative to provide sufficient context to a given set of circumstances. This most often includes information about characters and the setting they're situated in. Doing exposition right can be a bit of a tricky task. If you want the full impact of your story to be felt, then it's up to you as a writer not to leave your audience in the dark, or leave them generally confused about what the stakes are at hand. From Software is a studio that is most often praised for its approach in storytelling. If you're playing Dark Souls and all you care about is proving your strength, you're most likely just going to beeline it to every boss fight, and feel incredibly lost by the time you either link the flame or leave it entirely. So the game failed to do its exposition, correct? Nope, you did. That's because From Software hid the game's story in item descriptions and optional character dialogue. What's revealed by them is a library packed to the brim with tragedies, stories of cool warfare, and oftentimes, heroism. Choosing to engage in the story will take you from hating Artorias for kicking your ass to sympathizing with this plight in mere seconds. Wait! I'm the bad guy, aren't I? Oh. Don't care! The exposition is in the investigation. The harrowing stories FromSoft tell are your reward for choosing to engage with the world they created. Oftentimes, that translates to you being able to connect dots that players may not find during typical playthroughs, and be rewarded with bonus content like secret boss fights, weapons, or branching pathways in their narratives. Lordran and the lands between are realms well past their golden eras, since the reverberations of conflict shattered the ties their people once had. This fragmented storytelling is also representative of the brokenness of their worlds. This, to me, is why I feel exposition is so important. The sense of accomplishment in the audience for being attentive. The overachiever in me would probably want to hark on about how you can do exposition badly, but I don't wanna. Not in this video, at least. The original Ben 10 felt like an interesting case for me to study. An aspect of the show I enjoyed quite thoroughly was how well it conveyed information to the audience, even during instances where you'd expect people to feel lost. Ben 10 follows the show's titular character, Ben Tennyson, a 10-year-old boy who spends his summer traveling with his grandfather Max and cousin Gwen on what is probably the most exciting road trip of all time. Giant robots, mutant animals, shape-shifting goo monsters, and intergalactic warlords were probably a commonality for the Tennyson family as they went about their business on the open American road. This all started when an alien device did what it did and stuck its Oh, the joke police arrived.
No, none of that. Shame on you. Say that shit again and I pull the fucking trigger.
Come on, it's just one shite joke. It's not gonna hurt anybody.
It's too unoriginal, even for a Fast 9 Noxtaku jellybean just clone like you.
These accusations, they could destroy our family. Think about Tobias.
I am thinking about Tobias. That's why you need to get off your ass and tell better jokes. You haven't made a video essay in months. You've had enough time to be better. Now, don't let me catch you doing that shit again.
Okay, cool. He doesn't know that I accidentally swapped Tobias into a rock slide that one-shot him during my last Nuzlocke. Don't
tell him...
Sorry, what was that?
What? I never said anything about putting our son in life-threatening danger. You're crazy. I mean, you're not crazy. Maybe you misheard me. Yeah, that's it.
I thought so.
To combat the constant life-threatening circumstances he finds himself in, Ben uses a watch-like device called the Omnitrix, and it allows him to shapeshift into various alien heroes according to his wants and needs. He got this seemingly by complete accident, but most of you watching already knew that. Oftentimes, Ben acts very altruistically when using the Omnitrix, putting himself right in the face of danger to save the world. Other times, he's incredibly self-serving, using the watch as an accessory for his childish mischief. At the end of the day, though, Ben always learned valuable lessons about responsibility and appreciated his human side more and more. However, he tends to forget the lessons he learns. Strange, right? The series mostly used what is called an episodic structure. This means that most episodes of the series would be their own self-contained adventures, still featuring the core characters, but not necessarily tying into any other episode narratively. What you need to know is that this series was made during the cable TV era, where scheduled programming ruled supreme. This meant that catching every episode during their original airing date wasn't always a guarantee. That also meant that if you didn't turn on your DSTV, didn't record it ahead of time, and missed the episode entirely, you might not ever see that episode until a few months down the line, when your own schedule will allow you to. Ben 10 did have continuity, yes, but it never got to the point where every installment flowed seamlessly into the next because of one connecting plot thread that tied them together. Instead, it built up its grander narratives in bits and pieces scattered throughout each season. This way, infrequent viewers were accommodated in some sense and weren't entirely alienated from the people who watched the series religiously. This structure was also effective for creating patterns. A neat thing about being episodic as opposed to serial is that consistent character arcs aren't as much of a necessity. An episode can feature Ben being an insufferable asshole whose ego is inflated by the cool superpowers he has. He then causes a calamity of some sort, and due to his irresponsibility, Gwen and Grandpa Max have to help him clean up his mess. He then learns a valuable lesson, and then he does all of that shit all over again for
52
episodes. This format helped forge the show's identity for many people. Repetitive as this was, every episode was its own fresh idea, keeping one curious as to what would happen next. What does this have to do with the show writing itself, though? We'll get into that now. What we've established thus far is that not every episode is directly connected with one another, but also, grander narratives are fragmented throughout the series. We've also established that the show has created a pattern of expectations. Combining all of these together, and you get a show that can explain itself yet doesn't explain itself at the same time. Allow me to explain. In the episode Monster Weather, the Tennysons visit a music festival where Grandpa Max's favorite band is playing, and Ben doesn't seem too interested. The core focus of this episode is Ben learning to appreciate the things that others enjoy, and learning to give others a chance to have fun in their own way. The other focus is the weatherman. Due to the stress-inducing demands of his studio, he unwittingly developed an intelligent weather-altering death robot. This weather dude is also a pretty unimportant character in the grand scheme of the series, but he does demonstrate something interesting about Ben 10's world. Let's say you're an infrequent viewer. How do you think he would have been able to get his hands on something like this? Well, Ben's threats aren't exclusively aliens. There are really smart people like Dr. Animo out there. Maybe he's just one of them. We do actually get an answer though. One that wasn't necessarily needed, but appreciated nonetheless.
I dealt with a few instant weather abnormalities on the job. Some ETs can represent themselves as elemental beings.
This reason also makes a lot of sense. This man stumbled upon a power that he wasn't ready to wield, and unknowingly created a monster. As I said though, Grandpa never needed to say anything. The show had already created an identity for itself at that point. There are many ways that we could have rationalized that situation, and the show's integrity would have remained intact. This also raises another question. Does that mean all of Ben's human threats used alien technology? Or are they built so different that they can make use of Earth's resources so well? Either way, this kind of speculation just makes the show's world all the more fascinating. How deep does the alien conspiracy go? And what limits can humanity break next? Episodes like The Kraken, Tourist Trap, Camp Fear, Ready to Rumble, all seemingly once-off adventures, can also have their existences rationalized this way, without the show having to go to excruciating lengths to explain every single detail to us. That way, no matter what dots we connect, we probably have the right answer, and that's rewarding in its own way. What about that Eye Guy example I gave at the beginning? Even to a frequent watcher, Eye Guy will come as a surprise, mostly because Ben treats him as something he's used before. I mean, this is his first and only appearance in the show. To the infrequent viewer, he's just another one of Ben's aliens, which is a sufficient enough answer. However, that could be another question entirely to the frequent viewer. It's been established before that the Omnitrix can scan the DNA of other aliens if they make contact with it. This isn't guaranteed to happen every time, but it's still a possibility. Maybe Ben encountered an alien along his journey that he unknowingly scanned, and then tested it out in his free time like he has done before. Or you could be like me and many other people and not treat Secret of the Omnitrix as the finale, since it was originally supposed to air after the alien wedding episode. Maybe Azimuth gave him Eye Guy as a gift, like he did with Waybig. Alternatively, Ben could have just gotten so good with the watch that he unlocked more of its secrets. Either way, Eye Guy is still incredibly cool, and it doesn't matter whether or not he came out of nowhere. That is because of good world building. That is exposition done right. When the show is able to get away with not explaining itself, because it writes itself already. The fact that Ben named Ghost Freak after Gwen is fucking hilarious. Also, listen to the audiobook coming out at the end of the month. Bye!